So season 0 of Marvel Rivals is ending this Friday. And there's a good chance that you haven't hit the rank that you hoped you were going to hit yet if you've played competitive. And there's actually an interesting reason for that. And I want to go through some other games to show you what I mean. Because, there's a decent chance that you're in bronze or you're in silver or you're in gold and you're kind of feeling like, do I suck? If you've played any of these other competitive games, you're like, is that rank like not very good? Like, how good am I, And it's very unique in Marvel Rivals that they actually show you the percentile that you're in when you reach a rank. I like that. I think it's a cool thing to do. But it also shows us some interesting comparisons when we look to other games and how their ranks work, because it works a little differently in Marvel Rivals. So I want to show you what I mean. Let's start with League of Legends, which is a pretty competitive game. And they have some ranks that a lot of other games don't, like Iron, for example, but it's still interesting to look at the distribution. So in the lowest rank, which is Iron in League of Legends, there's 14% of people. If you're at the bottom of Iron, you're in the 0%, you're the worst player in the game. If you're at the top of Iron, the very top, you're at the 14th percentile, right? Better than 14% of players in the game. Bronze, you're looking between the 14th percentile and the 35th. And then once you get to silver, you're between the 35th and 57th percentile of players. There's 22% of players in this. And that's where the average player is going to be. If you look at the 50th percentile player, they're going to be in silver, your average player, right? So if you're better in gold or plat or whatever, you're better than average. And if you are low silver or bronze or iron, you're below average, right? And you can see that graphed out here, right? So you're seeing the bulk of the players are right here. Not a ton in Iron, and then as you get up into these higher ranks, the player count really goes down. But the bulk of your players you're going to find right here in the middle: bronze, silver, gold, platinum. If we look at Fortnite, kind of a different game, we'll see that 16.7% of people are in bronze, and then 25% of people are in silver. And then by the time you get to gold, again, gold is kind of where your average player, in the middle of gold, you're seeing the 50th percentile for where the average player is in Fortnite. So if you're better than gold, you're better than average. If you're worse, then you're worse than average. And you can see that distribution right here. Again, this Fortnite is actually pretty evenly distributed, where you're like, okay, we're seeing a ton of people. I actually accidentally cut off Unreal here, but it's very, very small percent. But, when you get down here, it's like, okay, most people are around here, gold, silver, a lot of people in plat, even diamond, some people in bronze. But when we look at Overwatch 2, it's even more skewed towards the middle. Less than 5% of people in Overwatch 2 competitive are at bronze. 20% are in silver. 36.5%, that's a ton of people, are in gold. Most of the players are either in plat or gold. That's like 60% of the players, over 60% of the players are in plat or gold, right? And the average is somewhere in plat, somewhere in gold, maybe a little bit higher gold, but not the highest gold, right? Is where your average player is going to be. And we see, wow, not a lot of people here at the beginning, not a lot of people here at the end. Most players are around here. Now, this gets really interesting when we look at Marvel Rivals. And I should mention, this Marvel Rivals data is not necessarily totally complete, because we can see here, we got this from rivaltracker.com, and it shows this is the data for 594,000 players. Well, Marvel Rivals came out and announced that they had 20 million players already. So where are all the other players? Well, there's two things going on here. Number one, they stayed on Rival Trackers. This is only PC players. So this is only people on PC. And number two, this is only going to be people who've played competitive. So not all of those 20 million people have played competitive. In fact, I'm sure plenty of those people have logged on, played a few games, and that's it. But this is at least 600,000 people that we can kind of get some data based off of. And again, not going to include console. And I think there may even be some other PC players missing, because this data starts to become a little inconsistent when I look at my own ranks that I've gotten and the percentages they give me when I'm looking at those ranks. But let's take a look at what these 600,000 people's breakdown is. So we can see already a whopping 30% of people are in bronze. That's so many. Remember Overwatch? 4.73% of people were in bronze. Hardly anybody, less than 5%. That's 30% of people in just this data alone. You can see it's not in the middle anymore. The huge spike is right there at the beginning. So if you're in bronze, it's like, that's where a lot of people are. That's not that unusual. And sure, we can see, okay, silver is 16.7, and then gold, the average is still in gold. So you'd think, okay, a gold player is still the average, right? And then obviously as you get up and up and up, it becomes more rare. to find those players. But, maybe I'm an average player if I'm gold in Marvel Rivals. But I'm not so sure. Because here, on New Year's Eve, I hit Diamond 2. And I got this little message. You're ranked higher than 97.95% of players. That's really high. 98% basically. Well, according to this data, if I was in the 98th percentile, I would be Grandmaster. That's not Diamond 2. I should be Grandmaster based off this data. It's like, well, maybe a week ago, maybe a lot of people have gotten a lot better faster because, this game is pretty new. I'm sure the rankings are going up all the time. Well, fortunately, on January 5th, on another account, look, we don't need to talk about why I have multiple accounts or the shenanigans I'm up to. That's for a different video. Right now we're focusing on this, which is on January 5th, I hit Gold 2. And I got ranked higher than 81.15% of players for Gold 2. Okay, so according to this, if I was in the 81 percentile, 81, 82%, I'd be in high plat. But this was for the middle of Gold. So this suggests that this data isn't totally accurate and that it's actually a lot more competitive to get into these ranks than you might think. And again, on January 5th, when I hit Diamond 1, I was better than 98% of the players, basically the same as a week ago when I hit Diamond 2. So again, 98th percentile, I should be in the middle or actually kind of higher in Grandmaster. But that's Diamond 1. So again, these ranks are more competitive. And what this means is there's probably way more people in bronze than this says, and way more people in silver and gold. And the average is probably closer to silver, or it might even be in bronze. I'd have to start a new account and look at the percentages it gave me as I ranked up in those bronze ranks to really know. And I'd be curious if anybody has a recent screenshot of this. I would love to see it. But essentially, if you're in bronze or silver, you might just be an average player. And so a lot of people are probably in these lower ranks thinking, wow, I'm not very good, because if I was bronze in Overwatch, I would be in the bottom 5% of players. But you're at least in the 30% of players. I would guess actually a lot more. And it's kind of interesting to think about, why did this happen in Marvel Rivals? And I think there's a few reasons. Number one, of course, is because everybody starts out in bronze. In other games, like Overwatch, you play and then it assigns you a ranking. Maybe you have some placement matches where you play and it kind of feels out your skill level, and then it puts you into a rank directly. So you could get like plat or diamond right out of the gate after playing your placement matches in a game like Overwatch. But in Marvel Rivals, everybody plays in bronze. And so what it means when everybody starts in bronze is that you have to play better than basically the average player that you're playing against to rank up. So theoretically, you could have the bottom 50% of people not ranking up because they're going win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and then you can never rank up that way. Of course, it doesn't totally work like that, because some of the best players are going to win more than 50% of their games, and they're going to rank up. Some people might even do that based on luck, and then they won't be playing against those bronze players anymore, so naturally the lobbies will get less competitive over time. But because everybody has to start in bronze, it makes it harder for your average player to get out of that rank. And so it skews the ranks down to the bottom. I'm wondering if Marvel Rivals actually did this on purpose, because if the game tells you your percent on your screen as you rank up, and it tells you, maybe you get to bronze 2 for a minute, then you fall back to bronze 1, and it says, hey, you're in the bottom 4% of people, or the top 4%, I guess, the bottom 95% of people, that feels really bad. And so maybe they just want to stack bronze to be a more acceptable rank by keeping more players in that rank. I'm not sure. It could be that this is just how it's stacked out, and they may want to fix that in the future. But I guess the main point is, if you're in bronze, if you're in silver, even if you're in gold, I mean, like I said, when I was gold 2, which is the middle of gold, where do you think the average player would be, it ranked me higher than 81.15% of players server-wide. If we look at that in other games, like, that's high plat in Overwatch. That's well into diamond on Fortnite. In League of Legends, that would put me in the middle of plat, right? So this is not an average place to be as a player. In the middle of gold 2. And so don't feel bad if you're in bronze. Don't feel bad if you're in silver. The game's very new. These rankings are definitely going to change, but also they're skewed towards the bottom, unlike any other game I've ever seen. So that is what I wanted to talk about with ranks. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and opinions. And until next time, thanks for watching. See you later.